Hello.
Okay, class, let's take a look. See where were we? Where are we? Okay, we're in the chapter 7, the latest history and the spread of the Buddhism. We finished the India and Central Asia. Now we come to the Sri Lanka. So let's take a look to the Sri Lanka. So basically in the previous lesson, we talked about a few things regarding the Sri Lanka. So in the 5th century, there's a monk we call as a Buddha Gosa. So he is the one who added the Visuddhimagga. Class, basically Visuddhimagga play a major role in Theravada Buddhism nowadays, including in Erti. Now, actually, the signature course of Erti is Abhidhamma Sangha, both in English and Chinese. And also we start to teach the Visuddhimagga already in the Mandarin, English not yet. The reason is Visuddhimagga is provide a very clear step-by-step and the know-how to do the meditation. But anyway, in Theravada, there's still some controversy issue regarding the authenticity for Abhidhamma. Basically, Thai Buddhism, they do not recognize Abhidhamma, including Visuddhimagga. I don't know why, One day after the Sankhi Gandhana, I talked to the Sri Lanka monk, So we talk about Buddha Kosa. Without any cowering, he expressed his anger over Buddha Kosa, which made me so surprised. Because Abhidhamma already teach, I already taught Abhidhamma for about 7 to 8 times already, and then Visuddhimagga will be the second edition, the second episode, you see. So I'm quite surprised. So I said, maybe one day I go to your temple, or you want me to go to coffee shop, we must have a talk. But finally we don't met. I think must be some misunderstanding. Mr. Leong, you know why? How come some Sri Lanka monk, they hate Buddha Kosa a lot? You know why? On the mic, please, Mr. Leong. Mr. Leong, you haven't on your mic yet, Mr. Leong. You haven't on your, you haven't on your, how should I put it? Your mic and what? I don't see it. Yes, you are connecting to the audio already. Okay. Yes, okay. You have successfully connected. Yes, on the mic, and you can talk now, Mr. Leong. Still not yet. Okay, and let's struggle over it. Okay, we continue the class. Okay, then let's take a look. I see Visuddhimagga. Then this is the Theravada Buddhism. They produce a thriving Pali literature, and we talk about Anuruttha Abhidhamma Sangha. Yes, this is our signature course. We already gone through 7 times in Mandarin already. We'll continue with the 8th time. Basically, why this school of Abhidhamma, I can run until to the 8th. For the 8th intake. The reason is, I think maybe the meditation, which is attached to this Visuddhimagga, okay, Pao Sero make it popular. He uses about 10 to 20 years, 10 to 15 years to make it very popular. A lot of intellectuals prefer this type of meditation. Like Abhidhamma, it goes very detailed. Elena, you think who will be interested in Abhidhamma? You have gone through Abhidhamma. You think who will be interested in Abhidhamma? Elena, you think?
Those who want to know more.
No more. And more intellectual orientation, right? Orientated, right?
Yeah. Like the courses that we go through actually is quite tough because basic is not so good, I think. But then to me is that I will still strive on to finish it.
You know why? The meditation actually also go in so detail like this, and it is so attractive to a lot of intellectual whole world in the world. Wow, they just go to the place to do the meditation. Maybe a lot of these type of people, they prefer the things go into detail. But in Thai, since everything go to the Nikaya, they don't go through a lot of details, so the meditation also not that detailed. Okay, so I let you know why I mean the Abhidhamma Sangha we're going through actually is very popular, you know, among the Theravada Buddhism. But for Elena Sally, I don't know, something wrong with you too. Basically, those who are very good in English will go to the Theravada, but finally you end up in the Mahayana. And then met me. Really bad the karma. Yeah, usually English speaking people are sure go to the Theravada one, you know. And then I met the Theravada monk mostly. Then you met me. I don't know how good luck, how bad luck or how good luck you are. Okay, anyway.
People, I actually went to the 十五碑係叫咩開啊？ The Theravada there.
Tiratana.
Not Tiratana, there's another one. Tiratana.
Yeah.
There's one, I can't remember lah. I went there. I suppose it's not my, 没有那个缘分啊。
Oh, I see.
I went there, the monk, maybe it's afternoon, they are resting or things like that. Yes, I heard from my friends, they all conduct courses and things like that. Then what happened is that the monk was lying on the floor resting. I dare not wake him up. I think he's awoke, but he just lie there. Then I look around, nobody. I look around again, nobody. Finally, I find somebody. Then they ask us what we want. We just want to do a donation. Then the person just give the donation, we zao already because we don't know head or tail, the whole temple, scared, you know. The temple is quite big, you know, so he said, forget it. I'm not to come here to study at night because the classes is usually at night. So, and that time I said, oh, forget it. I'm not going to join this. So I went off. Then after that, I went to Sedang. There's another one in Sedang itself, under Brother Tan one.
Yeah.
Uncle Vijaya, the side, I went there. And the class is also in the afternoon at 2 o'clock. That's the time where you're most sleepy. And also that time I was quite sick. Yeah, I think that's the time where I fell down. I hurt my back. And they all sit on the floor. And after a while, I can the pain. So after that, I think I went in for one course, a very simple Buddhism course, the initial one they talk about Gautama Buddha and all those things. And after that, I said, no, I cannot stand it. They asked me, you can sit at the side there, but it looks so awful, you know, those are young people and this old lady sitting there.
So finally, I come to earthy, remain.
No, so it's your bad luck to meet me.
No. My affinity is the temple is very attractive to the middle age and above people. No young people here. Okay, let's enough. Okay, then we continue. Three monastic fraternity. Yes, Sally, can you please read the passage?
Three monastic fraternities developed through the three monastics developed through all use the Pali Canon as scripture. Others was centered on the Mahavihara, the great monastery established by Mahinda, which went on to become one of the major centers of the world.
Sally, I can hear your sound, but it's not very clear. Maybe you adjust a little bit your mic. It's not very clear, you know.
But no, because I can hear you. Your one is very loud.
No, Sally. I think, Sally, the way once you do the reading, you are bowing like that, so the sound doesn't come nice. Hey, you are speaking now is good. When you do the reading, you don't bow in this way. This is the problem with your mic. You just sit straight.
Sit up.
Okay. Sound better. Yes. Again, three monastic. Okay.
Three monastic fraternities.
Good.
Fraternities developed through all use the Pali Canon as scripture. The oldest was centered on the Mahavihara, the great monastery established by Mahinda, which went on to become one of the major centers of the Buddhist world. Then, late in the 1st century BC, King Vatagamani donated the Mahayagiri monastery to a favored monk. This was not given to the community as a whole. The monk was expelled from the Mahavihara fraternity, leading to a schism. Later, Jatavina fraternity formed again due to donation of a monastery to an individual monk by King Mahasena. The monks of Abhayagiri fraternity was more receptive to Mahayana ideas than the more conservative Mahavihara monks, while Jatavina monks vacillated. Mahasani supported the Mahayana and destroyed the great monastery, but his successor relocated. Terms used in Sri Lanka to refer to what were probably Mahayana ideas, the teaching of the great emptiness. Vitanda Veda, a frivolous teaching based on the jugglery of words and vain arguments. Vetuya Vada, the enlarged teaching based on the texts that are not the word of Buddha. Perhaps see as rather inflated and hyped up. These closely related terms, Vetulika means magicians. The associated texts were seen as corrupting Buddhism. Over the centuries, some kings came to burn them. Mahavihara fraternity was later strengthened by the work of Buddhaghosa and continued to be resistant to Mahayana ideas, tenaciously preserving tradition. Nevertheless, it did draw on various ideas and practices from North India, if they were seen as compatible with the traditions. Rahula claims that Buddha images were mainly popularized by Lanka in Mahayanists and then fully accepted.
Thank you so much, Sally. Okay. Yeah, Sally, when you sit strict, the sound comes naturally and more clear, Sally. Just now, you read in this way, so the sound doesn't come out clearly. Okay. Okay, class, let's take a look. Well, this part of history, we can say is quite relevant to us. So let's see to the Sri Lanka. Okay, in Sri Lanka, quite obvious, we will see the Anuradhapura. Okay, class, Anuradhapura. Then for Anuradhapura, we are able to see the Abhayagiri. This is another school. Let me check it out first. Not that obvious. See, this is Anuradhapura. Anuradhapura is under the tradition of the Mahavihara, under the Mahavihara. And the Mahavihara, basically, they are very conservative. They are resistance to the Mahayana school. Whereas somewhere near here, the Anuradhapura, we will see another school. The name we call it as this. This one, Abhayagiri. Abhayagiri is somewhere quite near to this place, actually, Anuradhapura. The temple is somewhere quite near here. They accept Mahayana. Why? It is quite relevant to us because about 4th century, there's a monk, the name is Fasien. Fasien. So Fasien traveled to the Sri Lanka, not fashion, it's a Fasien, a Chinese monk. Fasien. How come we got fashion? Okay. Well, Google doesn't know me very well sometimes. Let me put Chinese better. Chinese. Fasien. 英文 now this is one Fasien, Dharma wheel, they call it Dharma wheel or Fasien. I mean in the 4th centuries, according to the history, he traveled to Sri Lanka. Okay, and he is a Chinese monk. But how come Chinese monk is acceptable in Sri Lanka? Because he didn't stay in the Mahavihara, but he stayed in the Abhayagiri. So this is the place who accept him, Abhayagiri, you see. At that time, they accept the Mahayana as what? The teaching of the great emptiness. But for the Mahavihara, very conservative, they didn't accept. Actually, until now, I remember nowadays you can see the whole Theravada is under Mahavihara tradition. All is the same. Abhayagiri extended already, gone already. We can't see anymore. You are able to see it's just a historical site in Sri Lanka only. But anyway, sometimes once I go to visit to the type, I remember in the Sri Lanka temple or in Thailand Thai temple or maybe sometimes Myanmar temple, something recognized. If they recognize basically during the Pindabat the Pindabat, we will stand in. We will be ranked among to the bhikkhu. If they disrecognize us, basically we will stand behind the monk, but maybe in front of the layman. They will put us in this ways. So this is how we see it. As some, they thought we are Japanese monk. So they will ask, they say, are you married or not? They heard the Japanese monk can marry. I said, no, we are not Japanese monk, we are Chinese monk. They are confusing actually. But nowadays, I think that's many years ago. Some are like Ajanta tradition, they recognize us. So we will queue quite front. They allow us to queue quite front. They know the history, a little bit history background. Okay, so why they understand if let's say there's really study history, Buddhism or history, meaning to say Chinese Buddhism actually is coming, is moving from Indian to the Afghanistan and then to the Xinjiang, and from Xinjiang go into the China mainland. And our tradition, if you really want to trace back, actually is under Bodhidharma. You can trace back to there. Sometimes just a name only. Okay, whereas here once we talk about the Mahavihara, actually it is originated from where? Indian. It's about 2-3 centuries before Christ. They start moving there already. So a monk, the name, the name is, who is Mahinda, you see or not? You see the name Mahinda? So he is the one, you see not? Mahinda. He is the one who, who appointed by his father. Okay, his father, I think under the Sangha community there, and also with the encouragement of the father, who is the king, he and his sister come to the Sri Lanka and establish the Mahavihara there. So that is the history there. It's possible to go to Sri Lanka. You can go through all this park. I think there will be some recorded there. Then you see some Jetawana, some monk who they support the Mahayana to destroy the great monastery, but his successor rebuilt it. It happened quite often. Okay, basically, if let's say it happened in China, if let's say the king disagree with the Buddhism, not the building only, the whole thing, you see, he will order the monk to disrobe, he will destroy all the sutra, many things. Actually, also they got one Japanese monk, he go to the China during, he go to the Xi'an about 7th century. He witnessed how the king destroyed the whole thing. Wow, he said so scary. He tried his best to run back to Japan, but he right down at that time. The king, you can see all the police, the executive, they will go to check. Do you keep any sutra or not? You have to burn it. Then no monk have forced them to disrobe anything. If they discover maybe you hide some sutra, just like hiding the drug nowadays. Yeah, it can be so serious, you know. You can hardly imagine, just a sutra only. But for them, it's just like a drug, you know. So this thing happened before. So a Japanese monk, the name is Yuan Ce Fa Shi. He recorded down everything. So I just read through his history before. He said, wow, very, how to say, it's very, very horrible at that situation. But here also happened, you see, for Mahasena, support Mahayana, destroy the great monastery. If you're the monk within the great monastery, just really don't know who are you going to run. See, okay, then here, we come down here. So the Mahayana fraternity was later strengthened by the work of the Buddha Gosa. See or not? Actually, Buddha Gosa plays important role to strengthen the Mahavihara. But I think maybe the person who disliked him is due to his background. Actually, he was a Brahmin, you know. He was a Brahmin. So that's why his Sanskrit is very well, you know. Okay, well, basically, a few terminology. Let me try to explain in the first place. Actually, we got 3 canon. You see or not? Number 1 canon is the Pali canon. Pali canon meaning to say that this is the Tripitaka, which is very common and popular from Sri Lanka to Myanmar, Thailand. So if let's say you try to Google it, Pali canon, you're able to see it. Pali canon. Pali canon you can get in this way. Okay, Pali canon. Yeah, Pali canon, I think you can find is the, now this one, okay, let me check for you. Lion Rose, BuddhaNet, you see, from BuddhaNet, you see chart of the Pali canon. You can get easily nowadays. This is the Pali canon. So basically, the teaching are more on the Nikaya and Abhidhamma, which is spreading within this area. The claim itself is more origin Buddhism. The reason, what is the reason? The reason is basically the time they discover all the sutra is in the quite early stages. It's in the quite early stage. Let's take a look. So this is recorded as a Pali canon. You see, it's about this time. You see, early Sangha, early Buddhism school is before. This time we call it as a in the Theravada Buddhism, this is the time now. Usually, I mean, we stop here lah. This is the Pali canon. The teaching is this. I mean, we give this period more for Eight Noble Path, Four Noble Truth, all the Nikaya, all the Agama and Abhidhamma is about this period lah. Okay, this is because it's a Pali canon. If this is a Sanskrit canon, basically most of the Sanskrit have been translated to Chinese and it's very popular in the China. They are kept in the Si Petta in Mandarin, Da Zhang Jing. You please copy down. This is the example of the Sanskrit canon in the Chinese. Si Petta. Because it's a Taisho Tripitaka. Okay, basically all the academic study relates to this. We will put the reference from this Taisho Tripitaka. Let's see here is it. It got a few here. Let's see Petta. You just write it down. It's in the Mandarin. Okay. Well, I think you don't have chance to go through it maybe next life. Why? Even though all are Mandarin, I understand every word, but combined together, I cannot understand because 1,000 years ago thing. Yeah, even though every word you know, but when combined together, don't know what is talking about. Don't know. It's a classical Chinese, you see. But if you do academic study, you have to go through, even though very dry. I see something here. Let's go through a little bit. You know. Now you see here is the Sri Lanka Pali Tripitaka. This is the example. Hotel accommodation, no. This is the advertisement, I think. Okay, let's see. This is not accurate. Hotel accommodation, hotel booking, no. Okay, let me check for you again. So this is the Thailand version. Type 1, the type version, even though there's a Pali canon but they present in a different language because Pali canon himself it's just a language. It doesn't have the literature, you see. So they have to use other different languages to present it. So the second rich, okay, too bad. And one more is the Myanmar version. So in Pali canon, you can see it's the Myanmar version, Thailand version, and Sri Lanka version. So got different version, whereas in Sanskrit version, you can see either in Mandarin or in Tibetan, And then one more version we call it the Tibetan canon. Let me show you Tibetan canon. Tibetan canon is regard this they call it, this is the name. I saw it already. You can write it down. Tibetan canon, a Kanjua, and the Stanjua. Just write down okay, yes. Just write down this word Kanjua, Kanjua, and the Tanjua. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Please copy the difficult one to show that your academic standard. Especially for those who don't know one. Wow, you say, I know Kanjua and Tanjua. So this is from the Tripitaka of Tibetan Buddhism. I think this is the richness one. The reason is because it accumulates a lot, 1,200 years history in Indian. So it is the richest one. It contains all the Mahayana and also the Theravada version. All they include. So this we call it now. Yeah, Mr. Leong, you raise your hand, please. Anything? Any questions?
Yes. Who is this Rahula 1968-128?
Oh, okay. You want to ask who is he? This one. I know why you ask because there got so many Rahula, right?
Yes.
Okay, of course. There's so many Rahula. It's just like so many John and Albert and Elena. They got one cartoon name also Elena. He also got one Elena, right? Well, basically, this Rahula, quite sure it's not. The son from the Shakyamuni lah. So this Rahula, just like Elena, everywhere is Elena. You just take it one of the ordinary Elena, they will be fine. No such, not many things. No very profound knowledge behind this Rahula lah. Just ignore it.
Can I say that he is a Buddhist scholar?
Oh, scholar. You want to check whether it's scholar or not? Okay, we can know lah. Okay, just from the background introduction. Let's see. Okay, Rahula, Buddha Gosa. Here. This one, Rahula, right? Yes, yeah. 1966. Okay, basically, Mr. Leong, if you see, it come in this way. This is the thesis, 1966, 1 to 8, maybe if don't know from which one of the journal. Basically, once we see all this, it's quite related to the academic study. Okay, so Rahula. Anyway, you can see here, you see, sometimes Buddha Gosa quite resistant to the Mahayana idea, but I can tell you, he actually he just adopt what he like, because in Visuddhimagga, surprisingly, it mentioned the best intention is for being the Buddhahood. I don't know why the sentence is very clear. Actually, the mixture Mahayana already. Not the Sravaka is the best, not the liberation is the best. It's the Buddhahood and helping. And helping the other beings. So this is quite surprise. I think don't know. Maybe during the addiction, maybe somebody put inside without telling Buddha Kosa. You can suspect in this way, you know. Have I ever mentioned to you that actually, I think maybe in the Latin or Hebrew version of the Holy Bible, they coded reincarnation. Have I ever told you before? Have I ever told you before? Yeah, you know, the God, you know, the later on during the meeting, like us, they got first council, second council, they noticed that this type of reincarnation is contradict, you know. So they just, they just abolish it quietly. Shh. So they just write it off because they are the one to control whole thing. They are the one who have final say. Interesting. So you got Christian friend, you ask them, sure they say no. Because if they say yes, it's contrary already. For them, either this life, you with the God or go to the hell. If you got reincarnation, got so many future life, then you got a lot of choice already. No point to go to the extreme one. So quite hard you find a Buddhist in an extreme way. The reason is because they got so many life, and then they got a lot of choice. So no point to go to the extreme. But for a Muslim and a Christian, if either this life with the God or go to the hell, no much choice already. This type of do or die concept can easily create the extremism and the terrorism, right? Because this is their background. Okay, so we continue with the next passage in the 8th. Joey, can you please read the passage in the 8th and 9th century?
Okay. In the 8th and 9th centuries, there was a period of considerable Mahayana and Tantric influence in Lanka. In the 9th century, Tantric Vijayavada arrived and had influence for at least 300 years. Gombrich claims that the 10th century inscription saying that only bodhisattvas could be kings of the island shows Mahayana influence. He describes some Kandyan statues of Maitreya Buddha as having a small meditating Buddha in its headgear and as holding a lotus, both of which elements may derive from past statues of the Mahayana Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, and he refers to a little worship deity Natha Lord as a survival of Avalokitesvara, for whom this was an apice. Excuse me. From the late 10th century, there was a decline in Buddhism and monastic discipline due to Tamil invasions and civil wars. In the early 11th century, the monks' ordination line had to be re-imported from Burma, where it had recently been taken, but the nuns' order died out. King Parakama Bahuwan halted the decline and purified the Sangha, also unifying it on the basis of the Mahavihana fraternity. Around this period, Southern Buddhism entered its golden age in both Lanka and Southeast Asia, incorporating selected Mahayana Mantarnaya practices and aspirations into its existing framework of Sutta teaching. Vibhajavadin Abhidhamma and Vinaya, or monastic code, described as that of the Theravādas, that is seen as going back to the elders of the first schism. Buddha Gosa says that the monk who asked him to write the Visuddhimagga was a member of the lineage of the Mahavihana Vasin, illustrates Theravādas best of Jawadins. When arrived in South India, the monks of the three Lankan fraternities had been known as the Lanka, Probane school, the Tampapaniyas, Pali, Tampapaniyas, and the equivalent terms Lanka Wamsa and Sihala Wamsa also became well known in Lanka and then Southeast Asia. In North India, the three schools of Lanka and their Indian affiliates tended to be rendered to collectively as the Thavira fraternity. In the time, the term Tharyas and name Theravada became preferred among well-educated monks. Yet only from the early 20th century was Theravada popularized as the name of the Buddhism of Lanka and much of Southeast Asia, scaling in a wider context in which the pejorative term Hinayana was being applied by some of the tradition, and in a wish of differentiate themselves from Mahayanis while accepting them within Buddhism. The Theravada self-image was one of the schools that has preserved the original teachings of the Buddha without distortions or indeed, and is now sometimes said in Sri Lanka in its pristine purity. Mahayana teachings tend to be seen either as alien corruptions to be ignored or simply studied as part of the history of Buddhism.
Okay, last one more paragraph, please finish it.
Okay.
In the colonial period.
Okay, in the colonial period, Lanka became a prize goal for Western powers. The Catholic Portuguese, then the Calvinist Dutch, controlled certain lowland coastal regions. In the late 16th century, persecution by the Soviet king led to decline in which the ordination line for monks, but not novices, was again lost. Only in 1753 was it successfully reintroduced from Siam, now called Thailand. The British finally brought to an end to the Highland Kingdom of Kandy in 1815, so as to rule the whole island. While only the Portuguese had persecuted Buddhism, each colonial power tried to transmit its own brand of Christianity to the islanders.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, Joey, for this, you don't know how to pronounce, right?
Don't know.
Thavira or Thavira.
Thavira. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Even I also don't know. Okay,
Different terms.
Yeah, I also don't know because one day I think I have to go to learn Sanskrit or Pali. Hey, anybody interested in Sanskrit and Pali? You want to learn together with me? We go become a student together, click together. Anybody want to learn Sanskrit? No, too old to learn. Okay, I'm looking forward. Next time got this, the session. Elena, want to learn Sanskrit or Pali? Together with me, we become a colleague together. The one, too old already, right? Okay, well, I still will learn now. I see when now, because if I want to upgrade myself, the only thing, the way one of the option is to go through the original text language. Basically, once I study academic study in my four-year institution. Actually, once we enroll in the primary level, we have to choose either English or the Japanese because both are best secondary language and a lot of study there. See, well, I choose English. I choose Japanese language because English I know already. Then once we go to the secondary, we have to choose. It depends on which place we want to zoom in. Either you choose Pali, Sanskrit, or Tibetan Buddhism. If let's say you prefer Nikaya Abhidhamma, you have to choose the Pali canon, okay, the Pali language. If you prefer the emptiness, you have to choose is the Sanskrit. If you prefer the Tibetan Buddhism, you have to learn the Tibetan Buddhism. Then and the last, how to say, in the master degree level, you got language to learn already. You got language to use already. So in order to finish the whole thing, you have to spend about 9 years, 9 years in Taiwan, just to make sure you can go through all the original text language, and then to write the thesis. But I don't go through. Because of my teacher, he encouraged me to go for meditation. He says good for you to go meditation. So not too much in academic study. So after 3 years, I get the basic degrees, the general study, I shift to Sabah, which is more focused on meditation. So nowadays, in my teaching, even though I prefer use the academic study, the research, but not that encourage you all to go in, because academic study is endless one, always not conclusive one. Sometimes we use it to build out the faith, but since it is not conclusive, always changing, your faith also changing all the times, you see. So sometimes they recognize Mahayana, sometimes they disrecognize Mahayana. A lot of people can play all the words, you see. So just let you know how is the academic study gone through. Okay, we highlight the point here. Anything?
That's why you did.
What?
Okay.
Mr. Leong Tam, please once to finish. Okay, thank you so much. Let's take a look. Now we go through a little bit history quite relate to us. In the late 10th century, you see, basically for the whole passage, you are able to notice that why Theravada monk, they view us, Mahayana, as the corruption, partial of the corruption to their original Tripitaka. Most of the Theravada, they claim themselves they are more pure. Why? Because they think that the teaching is more pure because more early. So this is how they market themselves. So they will claim that all the Mahayana teaching is an alien. It is not origin from the Buddhism. So you see, from this point, we know that this type of a perception is starting quite early already, even until now. Except in the academic field. Basically, for those who study in the academic, they won't see things in this way. Because they notice that even though the Nikaya, the emptiness in Nikaya, actually in the Heart Sutra and the Dharma Sutra, they are all similar. Basically, they are similar. Whereas in the text, okay, Joey, you know what is Aurakete Swara? Chin Sao Kunyama, Aurakete Swara, how you mentioned. For them, the way they see Aurakete Swara, it doesn't exist in the Pali canon, but it's in our Sanskrit canon. So that's why they're skeptical. They're quite skeptical to know where does it originate from. But anyway, in Sri Lanka, they have been influenced by Tantra before. Tantra is what we call it as a Zhong. You see, once you try to put the terminology Tantra or Tantric practice, all these things will appear. Tantric practice. You see all these things. See? Okay, okay. Some is a yoga sex, but you see a lot of the chakra, meridian, all this. Okay, we call it as a tantra, tantric. Okay, and then you see some yoga. But if let's say you put is the but Tibetan Buddhism, if you try to put Tibetan Buddhism, okay, so you will see it's a different culture a little bit. What they wear is more influenced by the Tibetan Buddhism. Okay, this is how we see it. The Tantric basically in Sri Lanka, actually they are quite pure, haven't mixed with the yoga sects yet. And then the Tantra basically, once we talk about this is something you are able to see in the Tantra influence in Sri Lanka. Let me show you some image. Okay. For example, so this is the Tantra practice. What it reaches, what is really rich to the China, basically you see all this, the Buddha statue is quite different. Okay, actually this is the Japanese Tantric, have been integrated with the Japanese. But what we want to talk about, number one, is the Puja fire. Basically, Puja fire is the practice in the Tantra. Then you see a different Dharma instrument. Let's see. Now you see the hand holds the Dharma instrument. So this is the features for the Tantra practice. Then besides, you're able to see is the you see the mandala. Okay, there will be the mandala. So this is the Tantra practice. Whereas wherever the Tantra go, they will integrate together with their own culture. But basically, chanting of the mantra is a compulsory. Like we chant Om Mani Padme Hum. So this is a mantra. It is a major part in the tantric practice. And then they will do some hand sight. We call it a mudra. Okay, and they visualize the Kuan Yin. So all this is very important elements in the tantra. So this tantra have a great influence in the Buddhism Sri Lanka. So that's why some Sri Lanka monks they brought some tantric scripture to China and translate during the time of the Tang Dynasty, Mo Zedong, the queen emperor of the queen of Mo Zedong. So she's the one who sponsored a lot for the translation. We will see it. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, see how in the 8th and 9th century, again, I accidentally clicked the year already. See here, okay, yeah, the Mahavihara fraternity later on strengthened by the Buddha-Gosa, you see. 8th and 9th century, Mahayana Tantric influenced the Lanka already, you see. The influence is about 300 years, 300 years. Recently, I just started a new course, we call it as a 普贤行愿品. Anybody heard about 普贤行愿品? 普贤菩萨. Have you ever heard about that? Yes, actually this is originated from Sri Lanka. You see or not? Oh, but nobody realized that, you know. Chinese people, Chinese Buddhists, they chant every day, you know, during the Sangong, 普贤行愿品, 普贤十大愿, but they don't realize actually that one of the version is come from Sri Lanka. And most of the Sri Lanka man, they thought, all this is the distortion of the teaching. They come to the Pali or come to the Pali tradition, but they don't realize actually its origin from the Sri Lanka. This one, 普贤行愿. Then you see, only Bodhisattva could be the king of the island, show Mahayana influence. Yes, Bodhisattva concept is more influential in Mahayana. Then one thing you say, Mahayana Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, they say the Maitreya Buddha, they will see holding a lotus, that is from the Avalokitesvara, and there is a survivor. This one is the little worship deity. This deity is as a survivor of the Avalokitesvara, for whom this was an epithet. Now, what does it mean, epithet? Let me see. It is a good word or bad word? Epithet. Yes, epithet. Adjective or phrase expressing a quality or attribute regarding the characteristics of people or things mentioned. Epithet. So what does that mean? What does epithet mean? Example of epithet. Even and call, epithet. How is epithet used? So any synonym for the epithet nickname. Okay, similar with the nickname or the label. Okay, so they said this is the label. Survivor of Avalokitesvara. And then from the late 10th century, there was a decline in the Buddhism already due to the Tamil invasion. Then the monk ordination line re-import from the Burma. Let's take a look. Basically, Sri Lanka, okay, when the Buddhism starting in Sri Lanka, they start export the Buddhism to the Myanmar, Thailand. And once I think it is about quite early stage, the export to the Myanmar, Thailand. At that time, they are not highly civilized. So they accept everything from Sri Lanka Buddhism. That's why nowadays you see the Sri Lanka and the Thai monk, their wearing is quite similar, you know. The robe for Sangha. Robe of a Sangha. You see the style is quite similar, you know. Okay, so this is the Thai monk. This is the Thai Sangha, Thai robe. Okay, and then let's see how this is a Tibetan, not the Tibetan. This is a Thailand. Well, Sri Lanka also somewhere this color. Okay, then if we see the red color one, now you see, then let's check. Now you see, there's a few monks here, so I can recognize that this color is from the Burmese one. This red color, they are from the Burmese one. You see, they are quite similar. You see, meaning to say that they got historical background that the Buddhism from Sri Lanka import to the Myanmar and Thailand, because they are not highly civilized, they accept everything from there. But once there's a decline in the Buddhism here, that import again the Buddhism from here to here. Whereas Buddhism from Xinjiang, one is come to the China. China has been highly civilized. So when the Buddhism want to come, they have to integrate well and incorporate it with the Chinese culture. That's why you see my robe. You see, you know not my when they start wearing I think maybe is if you trace back maybe it's the origin from the Tang Dynasty. 嗰啲人唐朝嘅人係着我呢種衫嘅啫嘛，this what this type but anyway once I go out people usually will say, oh, do you come from Shaolin? Do you know Shaolin Kung Fu? Can you teach me Shaolin? They just know Shaolin only but for those serious study this costume is originated from from the China cloth actually so sometimes if you met the Taoists their clothes also quite similar with us. It's due to our civilization, you see. Now, you see, just let's say this is a 道士佢哋着嘅衫道士Now see, this is the cloth of the Taoism, right? But actually also is partly of the Chinese custom also, you see. So a lot of similarity with our custom, you see. So it is from a Taoism. So meaning to say once a Buddhism in China, in order to integrate, they have to, how to say, make some adjustment. So that's why nowadays the Chinese Buddhism is quite different with the Theravada Buddhism because they have been integrated with the Chinese culture. Whereas for Thailand and Myanmar, they are not highly civilized at the time. They wholly import the thing from the Sri Lanka. So let's take a look here. So, but the nun order died out. So sadly to say that nowadays, you can't see any bhikkhuni in Theravada, except one tradition is from him. He's the one, so have a guard to challenge Brahma Vamso. This is the Thai monk. He's a Westerner, but he ordained in the Achancha tradition. He's daring to challenge the tradition of the Achancha because he tried to revive the bhikkhuni ordination. So actually died already bhikkhuni, at that time, many years already. But he said, woman is so important. If you ignore the power of the woman, you ignore a lot of things. That's why in Taiwan Buddhism, because they recognize the bhikkhuni so strong. Most of the nuns nowadays, compared with the monk, they are more highly educated and show more royalty. Okay, so this is something I know. So that's why Ajahn Brahma, he wants the nun come back. He wants a nun, so he and he rakes for being expelled by Achancha tradition. So now he no more in the Achancha tradition because this type of Mahavihara tradition, they're very orthodox one, They just follow 1,000 years ago. They resist any change. So because because Ajahn Brahma is a Westerner, so he's daring to do anything he think which is correct and right. But I think he do the right thing. So one day, Elena Sally, you want to try the bhikkhuni, maybe you have to go to Australia to ordain, get the real status as a nun. There. So this is something I let you know. Okay. So this is a nun order died out. At that time, it's already died out already, you see. Okay, then one more thing is regards this. Southern Buddhism ended its golden age in both Lanka and Southeast Asia around this period. See, then let's see. Incorporated selected Mahayana, but they already incorporated selected Mahayana and Mantrayana practice. So meaning to say not that pure already lah. Then we got one word Vibhajavatin. In Mandarin we call it 分别说. Vibhajavatin. I give you a proper translation. Vibhajavatin. Let's take a look. Vibhajavatin. Okay, Vibhajavatin, a group of early Buddhist school. Okay, the group reject the Sarvastivada teaching. Okay, So Vibhajavatin, Chinese 分别说 never mind. I'll just let you know just now you've gone through the word Stavira, right? Okay, so they are actually something to do with Stavira. Stavira meaning to say that actually is the elder. They reject the Savastivada. The reason is what? The doctrine of all exists. Okay, the explanation not that good. Let me tell you, for Savastivada, they insist that according to the meditation experience or maybe academic study, actually 3 lives, past, present, and the future, they are real. The way they say it, past, present, future, 3 lives, they are the real one. Okay, whereas for this Vibhajavatin, they say no, just only present is a real one. Okay, why it comes with this conclusion? Because for Savastivada, they say, you see, if without the if without the past, we don't have the present. If without the present, we don't have the future. Am I correct? So meaning to say that, so 3, they are important. So that's why they say 3 life, they are real. So meaning to say that if let's say they establish the meditation based on this concept, they have to check the past life and the future life. Especially for the Namarupa. Okay, so this is what we call it. But for Vibhajavatin, they say that only present is the real. Why? Because the past already gone and the future not yet coming. So we have got past and the future. The only present, only one. Okay, it seems both are right? From my explanation, I also notice both are right. It just depends on which one perspective look at it with me. So both are right. But since they disagree, Vibhajavatin disagree, so they come up with a new idea. So they oppose the Savastivada. Remember, Savastivada, I mean, this is have a great influence to the Mahayana because they are popular in the northern east part of the Indian, northern west part of the Indian. Whereas these they are more common in the Sri Lanka, and then they spread to the Myanmar and the Thailand. So this we call it as a Vibhajavatin. Let's take a look here. Vibhajavatin. Okay. So they got 2 schools here. Then later on they say, well, anyway, sometimes we use the word Theravada, it refers to well-educated monk. Sometimes Theravada also mean the elder. Okay, but during in order to make them different from the Mahayana, we label them as a Hinayana. Hina is come from the word Hina. Hina means the inferior. That is the bad word. Why they label that as a Hinayana? The reason is Mahayana, they are aiming for the Buddhahood. They aim big. I want to become a Buddha. I want to help all the living beings. We all together become the Buddha, the aim big. Whereas for this Hinayana, they said they're just more for themselves only. They want to self-liberation. Then once they're liberated, they will be bye-bye forever from all of us. So they label them as a Hinayana. But nowadays, we don't use Hinayana anymore. We use Theravada. Because for those who are able to meditate until for liberation, they are actually, it's very super good already. They're very good already. And it's not easy. Mr. Leong, not easy actually. Aiming for Buddhahood, it is good, it sounds good, but make sure you have to study really well. What does it mean, Buddhahood? How long time it takes? Okay, what is the element you should practice? So you have to really gone through before the promise for the become a Mahayana. Now, and then you come and see, say the Theravada self-image as the original teaching of Buddha without distortion. So that's why if you go to the Theravada, sometimes we feel disappointed because in order to make you all more open-minded, we'll call you, we'll ask you, you can learn to Theravada, but once you reach there, they will tell you that, the Mahayana teaching is distorted, they are not pure, don't go back, don't bow to the monk there. They will say something in this way. So that's why sometimes we are disappointed. So maybe just wait. There will be some school we integrate the teaching from Theravada Mahayana. I think I prefer encourage them to this type of school rather than Theravada. Because once people go to Theravada, they don't want to come back anymore. Because the perception always think that, they are not pure, they are not Buddha teaching. Mr. Leong, yes, anything?
See, as Theravada says, it's a pristine purity Do they believe in the Visuddhimagga and the Khuddaka Nikaya?
Basically, they themselves also controversy over this issue. If Thailand, they don't recognize the Visuddhimagga and Khuddaka. Those who recognize the Khuddaka and the Visuddhimagga is the Burmese monk. And then the Sri Lanka, they are the mixture. Even they themselves are also claiming that we are more pure as a marketing strategy. So you see a Thai monk will tell you that, they are the commentary, this was the latest thing one, don't believe. Am I right? They were saying this way. So we Nikaya are more pure.
Latest edition.
Latest edition. Then the Burmese monk will say, we are more pure, don't believe the Mahayana, they are the latest edition. They will say something like that, right? Okay. Then for Mahayana, we will say that, don't believe to the Tibetan Buddhism, we are more pure, they are the latest edition. Am I right? Everybody say the same thing, the same marketing strategy. So that's why the best is what? If the school suit you, the teaching suit you, and the meditation skill you use well, you find results suppressed, that is the best. Don't believe the marketing strategy, which is pure or not pure. No matter how pure is it, if the method doesn't work well with you, useless one. Am I right, Mr. Leong? Even though very pure, it doesn't work with you, the meditation, then what for?
Correct.
So we don't go to the purity, we go to the effectiveness. Agree?
Agree.
Yeah, bring more people in. So we emphasize effectiveness, we don't emphasize on purity. So we will avoid all the clashes already. So this is, see, these clashes are why the clashes happen. Until now we study this, we also see, this type of perception, you see. Meaning to say that this is academic study, but the academic study, they take from where? They take from the original text. So from the original text, 1,000 years ago, they already have this type of perception already. So that's why Mr. Leong, sometimes you're very confused. How come this also pure, that also pure, that also pure? Very confusing sometimes.
Everything not pure.
So finally, we are the purest. Okay, then we see, they say the minor teaching, they are either an alien corruption, you see. Okay, alien corruption. But some they say we are the fake money. So Mr. Leong, which one is the better label? Fake money is better or the alien corruption is better? Which one sounds nicer?
Both also, if it's understandable, then it's acceptable. Both also not good.
One is the fake money, still can use one. This is the alien corruption. Okay. Class, basically, we have to go back to one terminology we call it as a fundamentalism. What does it mean, fundamentalism? Fundamentalism is a philosophy which is popular in the religions about everything. They try to go back to the origin. They try to practice the rules and regulation and the teaching 1,000 years ago. Actually, it happened in Muslim and also in Christian. I just want to ask you a question. You think the Muslim in Malaysia, are they more for fundamentalism or more for progressiveness? You think which side they go? More for fundamentalism or more for progressivism? Fundamentalism, they try to bring back the 1,000 years ago teaching and practice. From progressive, meaning to say they follow the trend. You see the tendency from where? Number one, right, steady? We are more conservative, Muslim here. But if let's say you go to the Turkish, in Turkish, the Muslim, they don't puasa, and then they're very open mind, right? In Turkey, right? You see, they are more progressive, the way you see it. So, am I more fundamentalism or more for progressive the way you see me?
You are conservative.
Conservative? No, I'm very open mind. Very good conservative. If conservative, I wouldn't be here already. So you see, meaning to say, no matter what religion, maybe they side on one side. Basically, okay. So you have to know where you learn, who you learn, then you have to bear in mind, this is a more conservative. Of course, they will just bring you back to the 1,000 years ago thing to practice. Okay, then let me see. The last one in the colonial period. Let's see. So I think we finished already. So They come here. While only the Portuguese have the persecuted Buddhism, each colonial power tried to transmit its own brand of Christian to the islander. See or not? So later on, once the Catholic they come, they try to convert the whole Sri Lanka. They try to convert them. Yeah, according to history, as I know, they got one good strategy in order to convert the Buddhists to become a Christian through education. So just like in Malaysia, they introduce LCE, MCE. Once you graduate from the Catholic school, you will be employed. You will be employed in the government sector. Like in Malaysia, I remember the graduation from LCE, earning 200 ringgit. $200 at that time is very big already. Am I right? So that's why most of the parents they try to send the children to the Catholic school. Just graduate from LCE and work for government. Wow, very good already. So Elena and Sally is the product at that time. You were the product, right? Your parents send you is still to this strategy. Same thing happened in Sri Lanka. British do the same thing. All the Western people do the same thing. So they use the politics to influence. Because, in Sri Lanka, what happened? Most of the children, once they're born, they are the Buddhists already. Then about 12 years old, they sent to the monastic, become a Sramanera already. It is 1,000 years ago tradition, So you want to break you want to break the chain. The only thing is through the education and the employment. So they do something. But now I don't know how popular they are. But nowadays, all the Catholic school gone already, right? Just the name, Ave Mary, St. Michael, just the name only. Everything is changed already. It's not working well. And then about the religion, I think yes, they're quite influential. Most of the English, am I right? Most of the English-speaking people in Malaysia, they are more in Christianity. Elena said it. The tendency is there. You see or not? Meaning to say they are quite successful in certain extent. Okay, class, we stop.